Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, we've all probably been there. That moment when a team just feels, I don't know, stuck.
Hmm.
Or
Mhm.
maybe you're giving it your all, but things just aren't quite clicking like they should.
Right.
Today, we're diving deep into something pretty profound, but maybe often overlooked. It's a shift in leadership.
Okay.
And it's one that seems to genuinely transform teams right at their core. We're going beyond the usual management techniques or, those productivity hacks that are
So it
everywhere.
sounds like we're getting into the why behind the what.
Exactly. Our mission today is really to uncover how leaders move from maybe a more self-interested viewpoint to truly seeing and supporting their teams.
And why that changes things so drastically.
Yeah, why this fundamental change alters, well, basically everything. And for this deep dive, we're unpacking a really insightful post by Gunther Williams. He talks about cultivating what he calls an outward mindset.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
That's a critical topic because it really gets to the heart of leadership, doesn't it? It's not just what leaders do,
Mhm.
but how they perceive the people, the situations around them. That underlying perception, well, that's where the real lasting change comes from, I think.
That's precisely it. And okay, to really get the power of this shift, let's start where Williams kind of starts us off, the default setting for many of us, maybe. The problem he identifies, the inward mindset.
Right, the starting point.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever found yourself wondering, like, why isn't my team fully engaged? Or why aren't things getting done even though the instructions felt clear? Gunther Williams talks about this exact kind of frustrating experience.
Very relatable for many, I'd imagine.
He says that from an inward mindset, leaders can maybe unconsciously start seeing their team members less as individuals, with their own goals and lives,
And more as,
more as just vehicles or obstacles to achieving your own objectives.
oof, yeah, that framing.
Right. And then decisions, they become self-protective. Communication isn't really an exchange anymore. It turns transactional.
Just passing information, not connecting.
Yeah. Exactly. And predictably, trust just starts to erode. Williams is really open about being there himself, justifying my actions, blaming circumstances, and wondering why my team wasn't fully engaged. And the big realization for him, the kind of surprising part was, as he puts it, my perspective was the problem.
And what's so fascinating there is just how, well, subtly destructive that inward mindset can be. Like you said, often it's not about a leader being malicious or
Oh,
anything.
no, no, no.
It's more like a deeply ingrained, almost unconscious default setting. It really ties into that whole concept you sometimes hear about in leadership stuff about being in the box.
Ah, hey, I've heard that framing.
When you're in the box, you find yourself automatically justifying why you're limited, maybe why you can't do certain things, and perhaps more damagingly, you start blaming external stuff.
Circumstances, other people.
Exactly. Blaming others for why things aren't working out the way you think they should. And this self-deception, it creates this truly vicious cycle. Well, it doesn't just block the leader's own growth. It actively eats away at trust and just stifles progress for the whole team. People pick up on it. They sense, maybe not even consciously, that they're being sort of used or unfairly blamed instead of being genuinely supported. It's this fundamental disconnect, really, that sabotages real collaboration and just drags down performance. It's the opposite of like shared success.
And that disconnect, that profound disconnect you mentioned, that's precisely why the flip side, this outward mindset, is apparently so incredibly powerful.
Right.
Williams calls it a simple yet profound change. Instead of that inward self-focused view, the core shift is, well, it feels revolutionary. It's about seeing others as people,
As actual people.
with their own goals, their own challenges, and their own contributions. It's fundamentally about stepping outside yourself and trying to see the world, even for a moment, through their eyes.
Yeah.
And when this shift in perspective happens, Gunther Williams points out these 4 key transformations that just ripple through everything in the team. It really is quite something how one change in how you see things.
Changes how you do things.
Yeah, it can alter everything around you.
And if we sort of connect this to the bigger picture, we're not just talking about, tweaking a leadership style a bit here. This is more like a fundamental reorientation.
Yeah.
It's how a leader approaches their entire role, their team, everything. By truly seeing others as individuals, like you said, with their own value, their own aspirations, well, a leader's approach just changes. Decision-making tends to become more inclusive, communication feels more genuinely empathetic, and interactions start to build real connection. That's why it's so potent, I think, for unlocking potential that might be hidden and for building those really robust, trusting relationships in a team.
Okay, so let's dive into those 4 transformations then, because this is where the idea really hits the ground, right?
Yeah, the practical side.
The first one Williams flags is that conversations transform. Think about a typical workplace chat. If you've got that inward mindset, your goal might be, maybe subtly, to convince or control.
Right, to get your point across or get them to do something.
Exactly. But with an outward mindset, leaders engage with genuine curiosity.
Curiosity, okay.
Williams gives this brilliant everyday example. Instead of demanding, why isn't this done yet, which immediately puts someone on the defensive.
Yeah, closes things down.
And an outward-minded leader asks something like, what obstacles are you facing? See the difference.
Totally different energy. Open versus closed.
Yeah, and this small shift creates what Williams calls conversational capacity, finding that balance between being clear and candid, but also being genuinely curious, and the outcome. Well, it builds psychological safety.
Oh, crucial.
That environment where innovation can actually thrive, because people feel safe enough to share problems, maybe half-baked ideas, even admit mistakes, knowing it's about solving things together, not about blame.
And the emphasis there on genuine curiosity, that's just paramount, isn't it? It's not about pretending to be curious or just ticking a box. It's a sincere desire to actually understand where the other person is coming from, their challenges, their view, maybe even their goals.
Right.
That authenticity, that's the bedrock for building trust. It opens up the lines of communication you absolutely need for, well, for solving problems effectively and getting real collaboration going. Without it, you're basically just pet aiding, not really leading.
Precisely. And that insight, that genuine curiosity piece, it leads perfectly into the second transformation he talks about. Service becomes natural.
Okay.
This really echoes ideas from things like the go-giver, focusing on creating value for others first.
Right, give first.
Yeah. So as leaders, instead of asking, okay, what can I get from you to hit my targets? The question flips to, how can I help you succeed? And the critical part is, they actually mean it.
The intention matters.
Hugely. Now, just to be clear, Williams emphasizes this isn't about being like soft leadership or just being nice all the time.
It's not about being a doormat.
No, he calls it strategic generosity. It builds loyalty, he says, and it brings out people's best work. Because when your team truly believes you're invested in their success, when they feel supported and empowered, well, they'll go the extra mile for you and for the team's goals.
And the strategic value of that service approach, as you laid out, it's really profound. When leaders genuinely empower their team members, they're not just, being nice.
Right.
They're making a direct strategic investment in the team's goals and its long-term health. This approach, it naturally helps build a high-performance culture because people feel supported, they feel equipped, and frankly, they feel motivated to bring their best. It totally shifts the dynamic away from just dependency toward mutual growth, shared contribution. It's powerful stuff.
Okay, so that brings us to the third transformation, and this one feels really key for personal growth too, not just team growth. Self-deception dissolves.
Okay, circling back to that in-the-box idea.
Exactly. Remember we talked about that feeling of being stuck, justifying your limits, blaming others. Williams says with an outward mindset, that tendency just to stop. It stops.
You step out of the box.
Yeah. And this means, as he puts it, we see growth opportunities everywhere. Suddenly, problems aren't threats to our ego or our competence, something we need to deflect.
Right.
They become interesting challenges. It's a complete flip in perspective, doesn't it feel like, from being defensive to being developmental.
It really is. And the liberation that comes when you start dissolving that self-conception, it's truly transformative. It's about, facing reality, even the uncomfortable bits squarely. That honesty, it's really the first step toward genuine growth and effective problem solving. And not just for the leader as an individual, but for the whole team.
How does that ripple out?
Well, when leaders are open about maybe their part in a problem or areas where they need to grow, it sends a powerful message. It kind of invites everyone else to do the same. It fosters this healthier culture of accountability and continuous improvement. It builds that psychological safety right from the top down.
That really sets the stage perfectly for the fourth and final transformation Williams mentions, teams develop resilience.
Resilience, so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. When leaders operate consistently with this outward mindset, they help their teams handle setbacks differently. They respond with ownership rather than blame.
Okay, taking responsibility.
Exactly. It connects directly to that powerful idea of shifting from maybe a victim mentality towards a creator orientation.
Moving from problem-focused to solution-focused.
You got it. So instead of pointing fingers or making excuses when things inevitably go sideways, an outward-minded leader helps create an environment where the team's natural response is more like, okay, what did we learn here? How do we collectively fix this, innovate, and move forward better?
Right.
It's a huge shift from just reacting to actually proactively solving problems.
And the multiplier effect of building team resilience like that, it's just incredible. When teams feel genuinely empowered to own challenges,
Yeah.
they're not just bouncing back from setbacks, they're actively finding creative solutions, they're adapting, they're innovating. It stops them from getting derailed by bumps in the road. It actually turns potential failures into really valuable learning opportunities.
Rewards almost.
Exactly. Springboards for future success. It means the team becomes naturally more proactive, more agile, and ultimately just way more effective at dealing with complexity.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly powerful, but maybe a little abstract. So what does this actually mean for you, the listener, if you want to cultivate this kind of mindset?
How to?
Yeah, the how-tos. And the great thing about Williams's post is it gives really practical, deliberate steps you can actually start doing. This isn't just theory, right? It needs practice to stick.
Absolutely. It's a muscle you build.
Right. So he suggests things like starting meetings by genuinely checking in with people, asking how they are before diving straight into the agenda.
Acknowledging the human first.
Yeah, that simple act. Also, regularly asking yourself, what barriers might I be accidentally creating for my team? Putting the focus back on yourself.
Taking ownership.
And actively seeking feedback about your blind spots. That takes vulnerability, but it's key for self-awareness.
Essential.
So consciously sharing credit generously when things go well and visibly taking responsibility when they don't.
Modeling the behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe most fundamentally making decisions based on what will truly help others succeed, not just what's easiest or quickest for you right now.
And this brings up a really important point, doesn't it? Why is that consistent, deliberate practice so critical here?
Yeah, why does it matter so much?
Well, it's because these actions, they might seem simple, right? Checking in, asking a different question.
Yeah.
But when you repeat them consistently, over time, they build real momentum.
Okay.
They help solidify that outward perspective so it's not just something you understand intellectually, but it becomes your ingrained, almost automatic way of operating. Each one of those small actions contributes to building a team culture that's really rooted in trust, mutual respect, and that shared commitment to success. It fundamentally changes how people relate to each other. It fosters a true sense of partnership.
And the results. Williams is clear. They are absolutely measurable. You start to see those tangible benefits everyone wants, like higher engagement, lower turnover, increased innovation, and just stronger overall performance. These are the hard metrics businesses track.
Definitely. But, beyond those impressive sort of quantifiable metrics, the source points to something maybe even more valuable.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's about creating a workplace where people feel seen, valued, and inspired.
All right.
I mean, just imagine that for a second. A team where people feel genuinely heard, where their contributions matter, where they're actually motivated to bring their whole selves to work each day.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Right. These intangible benefits, they're harder to put a number on, maybe, but they are often the real, sustainable drivers of long-term success. And just a positive, thriving place to work. It helps cultivate a truly human-centric workplace,
That really brings it all together, as Gunther Williams sums it up so powerfully. True leadership isn't about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge by seeing beyond yourself. This really isn't just another management tactic, is it? It feels like a fundamental shift in how we see our role and maybe even how we see other people.
It absolutely is. And maybe a thought to leave folks with.
Yeah.
Consider, just as you go through your next week, maybe, what one small shift in your perspective, just focusing for a moment on someone else's goals or their challenges, what could that unlock? What might change if you consciously tried to see others as, whole people with their own unique contributions rather than functions related to your own objectives?
That's a powerful thought to carry with you indeed. Thank you for diving deep with us today on this.
My pleasure.
And thank you for listening. Until next time, keep exploring.